Hello. It is back again, another week, close to nowhere, and we are talking everything music. And Jordan, Jamie, as always, it's a pleasure.
Hello, Pete. How are you?
Hello.
How's things? I must confess, Pete, I had a dream about you this week.
Of course you did.
Was it a sex dream? Was it a sex dream?
No, that was a nightmare, actually.
I'm so sorry.
It came down to that I decided at long last I would go to Australia and I would visit you. And you were like, yeah, come over, mate, come over. But anyway, I landed at the airport in the middle of the night. It was pitch dark. And you said, well, we're living in a hotel these days due to COVID. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That obviously makes sense in these unprecedented times. And you said, yeah, but they've also turned all the lights off, so we've got to run. And I was like, why are we running? And you said, well, this is Australia, right? And there's things that chase you. And so we went running through this darkened forest, being chased by a wild boar. But that was fine. So anyway, we got to where you lived in this hotel, and you said, "Well, you know, this is Australia, so you know we can spread out. It's absolutely massive." And I said, "Oh, this is like a palace. This is luxury." And you said, "Yeah." To make it nice and cool, we'll open up all of the windows. So you had this little remote control. You opened up all of the windows, and you said, "And turn on the lights." So we turned on the lights, and he said, "Yeah, but the only thing is, you know, you're now going to attract every single poisonous creature." They all just descended, and then you went, right, okay, I'll be back next Tuesday, and you left.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I woke up.
I think we basically know what is going to be the concept for your third outing.
Absolutely,
really?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Due for release in 2021 in August
Thomas
cinemas.
Frenzullo. Double bill.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah, I didn't. Woke up in a cold sweat. It was a very warm night here, but, I'll just sort of blame the weather. But, yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, you bastard for abandoning me to the Australian...
Well, cruel to be kind, mate. Cruel to be kind. Anyway, so things we're going to discuss this week. Ironically, earlier in the week, Jordan and I shared a thought separately, just, unconsciously, about bands doing cover songs. So we'll discuss that a bit this week.
Oh, yeah.
We're also going to cover some weird and wonderful genres, which you may not have heard of. I've come across a few recently, and it gets insane. So that's going to be our topics this week. But we'll start off with a song, as usual. This one here is by Robert Hinton, and it is called Chalk.
In the way you speak your own name, your defenses are stronger than you know. It's a technique you use to push everything down below. When the tears build up and finally show, it's the flames that sweep through to help you germinate and grow. anyone. It's in the way you walk. It's in the way you speak your own name. It's only there in short. So dust it off and start again. It's in the way you walk. It's in the way you speak your own name. It's only there in short. So dust it off and start again. It's in the way you walk. It's in the way you speak your own name. It's only there in chalk. So dust it off and start again.
So that was Robert Hinton with Chalk. And as usual, all of these songs are produced by me and music videos are produced by me. So YouTube, do not demonetize these because I can't sue myself. So, we're all good.
So basically, all the monies are belong to Pete and the artist in question.
Well, and of course, artists who don't make that much money from the songs are the ones who do cover versions, unsolicited anyway. Yeah. So what you guys think about that? With artists who do cover songs, is it better to be staying as true as possible to the original, or to completely reinvent it?
Right. Okay. I want to begin by saying to anybody that's listening to this and can do this. Pete, I sent you a link, and it will be in the links below. Just click the link for this little cartoon thing, which is a few years old now. But you must look at this while we have this discussion, because it's a very handy little infographic. It's not as corporate as it sounds. It's actually quite funny. But yeah, there's so many ways to actually approach this. A lot of which are really bad. Really,
they are,
aren't they? Because tell you what, Jamie, you've you look like your eyes are twinkling at this point. I can see that. You look like you've got something to say. So before I dive in, you go first. Test the water.
Do you know something? Sometimes I actually enjoy a cover that completely ruins a song, and then sometimes I completely don't. So I'm going to give you two examples. One. Back in the days of trialing out new music, we'd go to open mic nights at various places, and there was one that you've probably been to as well, George, the Horn Reborn in St Albans, called, I want to say, the Blue Oyster Bar, which is clearly from Police Academy, but it was called something like that. And there was a guy who got up on stage and he sang the worst rendition, yet the best rendition I have ever heard of "Walking on the Moon" by the Police.
Really?
It was that bad. It was actually kind of good. But then,
did he do the whole cod Jamaican accent thing that Sting does?
But he did. But he was even more white than Sting, and he sang it an octave lower, and it was just awful.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But that's sort of the musical equivalent of blackface, really.
Yeah, it is. But the other thing I used to do, and again, this is going to be one of those revelations about my time in the 90s that I'm not necessarily proud of. But can we just remember it was a different time? I've always been a bit nerdy and quite enjoyed radio. Back in the 90s, when I was a much younger man, it was a bit more difficult to be able to encourage people who had radio stations to go on there and actually be on the radio. However, what I discovered was if I'd smoked enough weed and then I called up Talk Radio at like 1 a.m, I could always get through.
Of course.
And on one particular evening, and there's a particular radio presenter that I'm sure Jordan Thomas will know as well, Mr. James Whale, used to do a show on Talk Radio.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know the man personally, but...
Yeah. But very easy to get onto his show at that particular time of night. And I took umbrage to a particular cover that was being played on his show that evening. And it was a cover of Let's Spend the Night Together by the Rolling Stones.
Very nice.
Now,
Right. Okay.
that's one of those songs where I don't really think anybody else could pull that one off. However, two Page 3 girls had decided that they were going to do that because, you know,
because
like getting
that's
their-
the sort of thing. Because
Exactly,
I think
yeah.
that's musical low hanging fruit.
Exactly.
In many ways.
And I
Many
I
ways.
called up after too much of everything and got accused by James Whale of being a killjoy and not liking women. So
Right, okay.
as a musician,
No. I think you just were the purveyor of good taste there.
I know,
anything-
I know.
Yeah, just no, man. No.
yeah. So I kind of feel like there's a lot of differences when it comes to how to tackle a cover, and sometimes it can be tackled in a completely different way. And perhaps one of the ones that comes to mind to me is "Hurt." When
yeah, Johnny
you know,
Cash.
when
Oh, yeah, classic
when that
example,
was
isn't it? Yeah.
when that was redone and how it was done. I mean, granted, when it was written by Trent Reznor, it was about heroin addiction.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the way everything, just the song, the video, just Johnny Cash's voice just through it, it was, I mean, that's absolutely mesmerizing. And I would say, in my opinion, that's an amazing way to handle it. And for Rick Rubin to come out and think that that would be something that would make a good cover, even Trent Reznor has said, I didn't think it would work. And then when it came out, it was like, wow. So it was taking something and almost deconstructing it and making it about something completely different. And,
Yeah.
you know, I know Jordan...
It's funny you should.
Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, just picking up on the fact that Johnny Cash did that. I mean, that guy's, basically made a career of doing a lot of other people's songs his own way. I mean, he's kind of the master of doing a cover. Though I think there's an argument to be made that it wasn't so much from the era that he was from. It wasn't so much doing a cover, because I think the cover thing that's very much a modern phenomenon rather than just a bunch of artists picking from a back catalogue, and whoever had the most success with a song, that's who the song belonged to, because there's so many Motown songs which are like that, aren't there? But yeah, sorry, Jamie, I just wanted to just point that out, because I think that's an important distinction to make, that Johnny Cash was so good at making songs Johnny Cash's song.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
perhaps another way of looking at it is, how many songs do you know as a result of the cover as opposed to the original?
I got one. All Along the Watchtower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who did that one first? Whose song was it?
Yeah, Dylan.
Yep, Bob Dylan. Yeah, but of course everybody remembers the
Jimi Hendrix. Yeah.
Hendrix.
Yeah,
Yeah, just to, I suppose, just to expose my naivety to Tears for Fears. I thought Gary Jules had written Mad World. The first time I heard it, I'd never heard the Tears for Fears version.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, my first, I suppose, exposure to the song was through the Donnie Darko soundtrack, and I thought, well, it's an amazing song. So I did some investigating, and I
Yeah.
found out it was a Tears for Fears song, and I thought that's a completely reimagined, like, compared to the original. It's just a completely different
was
version
gonna
on what
say,
that song is
almost-
or was.
Kind of the opposite of that.
Oh, really?
I tell you the reason why. I don't know as to whether it happened in Australia, but in the UK, there's this time-honoured tradition of Christmas songs. It used to be kind of the cheeky hits that we've talked about before, and then it became about X Factor and Pop Idol and all these kind of like manufactured things. And then there was 2 years where we had different Christmas number ones. One was a very much sort of organic route that brought Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine to number one. And the other was the cover that you're talking about from Donnie Darko of
which was 2003.
Yeah,
wasn't it, if I
yeah,
remember rightly?
and
yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was just me. I mean, I just felt maybe because it became the Christmas number one, it was like not something you would expect to be.
So I guess the occasion around it affected the perception.
Yeah, I think so. And also, Tears for Fears as a band, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if it's something where a cover then brings you into listening to the back catalogue of,
For sure.
An artist, then yeah, maybe. But it's funny. I kind of, for me personally, I was like, I got sick of that song quite quickly as a product of the cover.
Okay.
Although Donnie Darko as a film, I absolutely love. And it's a film I've watched time and time again.
The way that song actually is perceived now. Again, so I don't know if this translates across to the rest of the world, but certainly in the UK, it only seems to get trotted out at Christmas simply because it was number one. And I think,
That's so weird.
Yeah. That version doesn't get played apart from on like the Christmas top 100 things on VH1 or whatever it is that you want to stick on the music channels in the house while you're getting pissed up with some mates at Christmas. Probably not this year because of COVID, but there we are. It's a weird cover to pick. That is, as a cover personally, I think it's a pretty good making a good fist of it, because it takes that particular song and it changes a lot of things about, because it's completely different to the Tears for Fears.
It is
one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, you can if you want to play along with this, and if you're looking at the little infographic that we sent you, you can pick where you think it might fit on this spectrum of covers. It's entirely subjective, it's entirely up to you. But you might not care. You might have switched off by this point and wandered off me doing the hoovering, whatever. Who cares? But yeah, I mean, when you say about getting into the back catalogue of another artist, this is how actually weirdly I was coming. I came at the whole idea of covers. I don't know if this tallies with what you were thinking, Pete. But like when you're sitting there of an evening and just a song just pops into your head and you go, oh, I remember liking that song. You haven't heard it for about 10 years or so, and you just look it up. Yeah? We all do this. Right. So it was, in my case, it was Robert Plant and Alison Krauss, Gone, 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 from that album they did about, 13 years ago. And I remember thinking, I remember liking that song. I popped it in YouTube. And then I looked at the composer details. That Don Everly. I thought, now I know why I like it, because
Everly Brothers.
I thought, I bet this is an Everly Brothers cover.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I'm a fan of the Everly Brothers, but it just wasn't a song that I'd just come across, it hadn't crossed my radar.
Yeah.
So anyway, I looked it up. And I don't know what it is about the Everly Brothers, but it's like whatever they did, it's just absolutely amazing. And all of the production elements to it, it's all laid bare there on the surface, and it's just talent. And I think Chet Atkins was their guitarist.
Yeah, the master.
So, all of the parts there, they were just, it looks like they've just gone in, done it in one take and gone, that's it, lunch, and out. And that would, and then they sent it off to wherever, and, people follow them around for forevermore. But then I went back then and I listened then again to the Robert Plant and Alison Krauss version. And both of those artists are, esteemed artists within their own right. And there was just something about that song that just went, yeah. And so what I thought was a good song beforehand, then kind of lost its shine, having listened to the original.
All right.
And, it's not particularly well-known Everly Brothers song either, really,
no,
is it?
it's not.
It's not like Kathy's Clown or any one of those, ones you can just name off the top of your head or whatever. So then, that then kind of got me thinking about various other things. But should we play a song and then move on to other things about covers? Because I think this is a very broad topic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I think we should break
it
up a bit.
Well, next band coming up are called Dillip and the Davs, and this is their song Spot On.
We're going to the boozer to Drinks tonight, spot on. All the herb tonight, spot on. All the girls tonight, spot on. All of you tonight.
That was Dillip and the Davs and their song "Spot On." So just to bring up on your point about the cover bands, I agree. Like I've heard a cover song, I'll go back to the original artist, and there's something about the soul of the song in the original version that's like, oh, that's perfect. Then you go back to the cover version, and it's, I don't know, a bit naff. Well, not naff, but it's not quite what you thought it was originally.
Yeah. I mean, like you come back to the Johnny Cash thing that Jamie mentioned. You can have an artist that just takes that song and just makes it their own thing. But then you have the other one where they go, oh yeah, well, you like doing this song, so we're going to do our version of it. And it's just like, you can see they're enjoying doing it, taking this gone again. But you can see they're enjoying doing it. But it's just like you're sort of watching two people enjoying themselves rather than actually having the soul of the song in that. And that then led me on to a song that's covered a million times. It's one of my favourites ones, which is Gentle on My Mind by Glenn Campbell. Well, actually not by Glenn Campbell. Somebody else wrote it. I can't remember who it was. I should have made a note of that. I didn't. He did the most recognised version of it. And there was one little video I was watching of him playing it in session with Leon Russell. The version that got him the Grammy, and he said this, he actually sings out of tune at one point.
Okay.
So, but the soul of what he put into it and the way that he did it, that becomes then the archetypal version of it. But then, of course, because it becomes that song and a lot of people want to do that song, then there was another. This is where we get a little bit. This is where we become haters, yo. There's another. And I swear to you, this is probably just an advert for General Motors automobiles. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of product placement. Yeah. Lot of shots of steering wheels and car logos in it. But anyway, I'm going to name and shame the band that have done this. I'm not even aware of these guys. They're called the band Perry. People are probably screaming, going, "Oh, I really know they are. They're wonderful." At this point. But anyway, they've done a version of it, and it's shit. It is utterly. It's bollocks. It is. It's the worst. Because it's everything about the song, it's just all so on the surface. And it just doesn't, there's no soul with it. It's just a pretty girl with two handsome blokes backing her up, selling cars. And that is it. And it's supposed to be, and the worst thing is, some person has decided then to do their own bedroom cover of that version of it and put that up on YouTube. So, on the level of shit, that then sort of falls a little bit below that. So it just descends down and down and down. And, my written a note then after that. It was like, should covers be... I mean, this is obviously done for an advert, right? Because it's the inevitable attempt to cash in. But then I think, if that was part of their set, this band's set, that their management said, oh, we can use that and we can then, use that to cash in. Should covers by bands just be basically left to part of their live set and, to promote themselves, then just get left alone and not put that, because you can only be judged therefore by the other ideals that, you can be, that you've set yourself up against. I don't know.
I'm trying to I'm trying to think of. I can't remember his name. It's Chris something. He directed some really weird, trippy videos for Aphex Twin. You know, things like Window Licker and stuff. You know, the ones that kind of like a little bit like Jordan's dreams about visiting Pete in Australia.
Yeah, and being chased through darkened woods by wild boars.
The guy who did that, he decided one year, and I think this is absolutely phenomenal. He decided one year that he was going to become a bit like you, Pete, and he was going to move just out of being a one-trick pony and just learn everything.
Right.
So he spent a year coming out of doing videos and adverts and music videos and stuff, and he decided he wanted to do music. And then what he wanted to do with music was he decided that he wanted to record I Feel Love by Donna Summer with Donna Summer.
Right.
And so not only had he learnt the art of music production, but he then decided to take a song that was so well known and perfectly, sort of formulated, and then make his own version of it with the original artist.
Right.
And actually, it's kind of cool. I mean, I guess maybe not a cover in the context of what we're talking about, but for somebody to go back, we've already said before about how we don't necessarily feel comfortable about people having the opportunity to rework their own music.
Sure.
Yeah, but for somebody to come in, essentially not necessarily from a musical production background, and then to work with the artist to rework probably their best known song in another way is quite interesting, and the result was something that was kind of very ethereal and had its own place. It wasn't the original song, it wasn't the disco hit that it was, but it was something where you're like, oh, actually, I get this. But that's kind of working with the original artist. I mean, I guess artists working on not a cover, but artists working on reimaginings of their original work is something, as you mentioned, Robert Plant, and the song that I've mentioned before, because it's 14 minutes long and it gives me an opportunity to go for a toilet something, is
How do you know?
It was when Page and Plant redid Kashmir. The thing is that sometimes you get artists having the opportunity to revisit and do something completely different with that piece of work. But with covers, it can be dangerous, particularly for independent artists. I think that thing can, how many times have you been in bands where you've gone and played, and I can think, prime example, and it's funny because like some of the guys from this particular band who we formulated like sort of 22 years ago have actually been in contact with me today. But I remember like we went and played a place in Covent Garden called the Rock Garden. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to go there, George, but it's where the Apple Store is now. Basically, it was one of those venues that ended up like sort of losing out. But anyway, I remember it was a venue where we went and played, and perhaps maybe more so then than now. But U2 had played their first sort of UK performance there and things, so it kind of had a bit of a kind of thing with it, and there was lots of A&R guys down there and things, and we played half hour set, and the second song we played, everybody afterwards came up and said, do you know what, the standout song of your set was your second song, and the second song was right? Remedy by the Black Crowes, which was the cover that we'd stuck in there to be able to get to half an hour.
I've made that faux pas with a band, but wait, years ago, and I said I did exactly that same thing, and they went, "Oh yeah, that's the Manics." And I was like,
You're like, oh,
I wasn't a big Manic Street Preachers fan. I never have been, and I was like, "Oh, cool."
No, Manic Street Preachers, actually, as a side note, I just want to point out, every single time the Manic Street Preachers have been at a festival or on the lineup of anything, and I'm sorry to those people who are fans of the Manics, but every single time they've played, I've always gone to the loo. I've always gone, oh, right, time to go to the bathroom. Hey, see you in a bit.
Yeah, I think the Manics can tend to be a little bit hard work sometimes, but so going back to the just I don't know. Maybe we should just draw this to a close because otherwise we're going to be talking about this all show, and we could go on. Do you know what? One of the so I'm trying to link that into festivals again. When the band that does the festival cover, and they only do it the once, and I know Florence and the Machine have done this. And I don't know if they thought they were being spectacularly clever by doing it, but believe me, they were neither clever nor original. I don't like Florence and the Machine. I thought yeah, doing a cover of The Chain.
Ooh.
I mean, how many covers of The Chain does the world need? And they all sound exactly the same song anyway. Oh, you know, Jamie, you've got links into Fleetwood Mac. Can you raise an objection?
Yeah, no, I want to raise an objection.
Can you go through the channels, please?
Yeah.
Say,
but do you know something? Actually, on the subject of like really like covers that you would not expect, but also they were just kind of really entertaining because they were just
I've got
so
another
rubbish
one as well. Bond themes. Please stop bands doing various Bond themes.
No, but going
that's
back
also
to
boring.
But going back to Glastonbury, but have you ever seen Jay-Z do Wonderwall at Glastonbury? It's one of the hottest messes ever. It is just it shouldn't work, and it doesn't, and he sings it badly. But there's something really charming about Jay-Z singing Wonderwall at Glastonbury and it not really working, but it's kind of quite funny.
Well, you know, I get that. I get that for its like one-off novelty value because I think the thing was that year that nobody wanted Jay-Z to play Glastonbury. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, there was like a big thing. He didn't do it because like all those people that go to Glastonbury these days with all their money.
Oh, we could talk about that, and that's a topic for another day. Yeah, please.
Yeah, we probably won't because that would just descend into swearing and whatever. Yeah, but I think just that whole in. What I don't like about festival covers is they all sort of revert to the same idea of what the song that they need to cover should be, and it's like, oh, we're going to go with, because I think The Chain is quite an uncool song, so therefore the hot band of the moment's got to do an uncool song and make it cool again because that's edgy, and it's like, oh, no, it's not. It's predictable. Go away. Just do your own bloody set and piss off. You're there on your own merit. Sing your songs, sing them well. Maybe do an extended version where you climb up a ladder and throw yourself into the crowd. I don't care what you do. Just don't go and do Fleetwood Mac. Leave that to Fleetwood Mac. There's enough members of Fleetwood Mac to go and do Fleetwood Mac songs. That's right. Sorry, that's my small rant for the thing. But anyway, yeah, Jamie, can you raise the complaint and go through the proper channels?
I will do. Yeah, and one day soon, Pete, I will tell you the story of Mr. Taylor and his connection to Fleetwood Mac, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to keep that for when we've got over 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, we'll do that. That sounds good.
Yes, we'll hold that one.
Okay, next song then, shall we?
Anywho.
Yeah, so this next one is called Circles. It's by Witching Hour Lucidity, and yeah, it features in my feature film Anticipation. So enjoy.
After it's
Okay, so I did a bit of a deep dive into some weird and wonderful genres, like not your typical genres, just wacky, strange things. And I came across one in particular. There were a few, but one that caught my eye was one about just a group of, I guess, 14, 15 men, purely a cappella, so no instruments, and they just yelling. There was no pitch. They were all in rhythm, obviously, but so they were singing the same thing, but you can't understand a word they're saying, but it's just screaming. It was just bizarre. So I just, I think I just literally just did a Google search of unusual genres. And there was some funny, like there's Japanoise, if you've heard of that one.
Okay.
And then there's a Nintendo Core. So that's pretty.
Is that Nintendo Core, did you say?
Do you know, I've heard of Nintendo Core. I've heard of this.
Just crazy stuff. So I was just curious to see if you've ever come across any in your sort of investigations or just rambling online.
Well, the one that just springs to mind that I'm sure everybody's kind of heard of by now because it's been going for about over 10 years. But there's Chap Hop, which of course is hip hop done by the traditional British chaps, of which Mr. B, the Gentleman Rhymer, is probably the finest purveyor of such things. I think I think he's probably the only person that's actually doing it now because he started it up. Otherwise known as Jim Burke, who did was it Suck My Goal, and the band was it's gone completely out of my head, but they had like a syndicated hit with Euros 96. Was it Euro 96, wasn't it?
Was it Suck My Goal or Eat My Goal?
I'm sure it was Suck My Goal.
Oh, I don't know. It's been a long time.
Eat My Goal, Suck My Goal. Damn, we should know this stuff.
Yeah.
Must do research. Not just rely on stuff from top of head. But anyway, he started doing it in about 2008. And he's still going strong. And again, he's doing things like Glastonbury. And I mean, that's the one that comes to mind. I would have mentioned Nintendo Core as well, because, I really like in my, kind of hipsterish moments, stuff like that, because it's like, I don't know if this is sort of crossed your radars, guys, but there's been a thing within the last 10 years of guitar sales and general musical instrument sales either plateauing or falling off in some respects. And I can only... I'd also speculate that there's enough secondhand guitars knocking around, or secondhand musical instruments out there in the world now, that you can buy things secondhand. You don't need to go and buy a brand new.
Yeah, sure.
Well, if you would want to go and buy a Gibson, not you would ever want to go and buy a Gibson these days because they're not very good, allegedly. It's. I think it's also partly to do with that. There's a generation now of kids that just will always make music from the sounds that they are surrounded by. There's that old tenet that the blues and rock and roll comes from steam trains, and metal music comes from the fact that people like aforementioned Robert Plant and people like that, Sabbath, they were surrounded by factories, so the only sounds that they were exposed to were heavy sounds of heavy metal being hammered and drilled in steel mills. So that's what they wanted to put in their music, and on and on. So I think it's natural, therefore, to want to suddenly make music from computer games, because now you've got an entire generation of people who have spent an awful long time playing computer games. So. Yeah, I think that's it. It's I think people can look at it and they go, oh yeah, well that's just just a bit of a kids thing, really. But on other ways you can look at it and you can say, well, it's a natural progression of how rock and roll should sound, because that's how it would sound coming from these guys' heads, and it's just not as prevalent because there's so many other things that you're exposed to these days.
And artists in that sort of genre, I can think even, and to be fair, this is going back to my radio days like 10 years ago. There's an artist called Boy 8-Bit who does a lot of like 8-bit kind of music stuff and things. You can get, I've noticed recently actually, you can get a load of emulators that means that you can kind of create that kind of 8-bit music style. Yeah, which is kind of cool. And an artist that George will know from the Recharge days, who he made a pedal out of a Speak and Spell. I don't know if you remember those, but there was a song that he wrote and he made this thing, and it's just genuinely one of the coolest pedals I've ever seen in my life, because it just did go, but it did do the, speak and spell, and number answer, things like, it was absolutely phenomenal. But do you know something? It's funny when you talk about like
what was his name, Jamie? I totally can't remember who that was.
Bill. Can you remember Bill? Bill Fitz Tigers from Tasha Fights Tigers. Yeah. He was the one who actually sent the he sent the 26-year-old bubble gum after I'd eaten it the first time and decided it was being entertaining, so I'd eat it a second time. That's Bill.
And then you were ill.
Yeah. But there's a particular song where he uses a speak and spell, which is absolutely amazing. But when you're talking about weird genres, or you're talking about stuff which is just odd and you can't really describe it to anybody, I remember I took my mother to an artist called Manu Delago, who plays the hang drums, and those things, they sound alien. I don't know if you've seen them, but they do like alien spaceships, and they're played a little bit like and they are super, super cool. But Manu Delago, who was doing a set up in King's Cross, and I thought, and it was with an Icelandic choir, and I took my mum to go and see it. But like midway through his set, he played one of the songs that had got him through the Royal College of Music, and it was a snare drum where he put like 6 different wind-up toys on it and just started like hitting this snare drum. And one of them was a flaming nun, and this flaming nun was so cool, I decided to give it to my tiny little, and my little sister won't mind me saying this because she's very out and proud, but my tiny little gay sister, I gave her a flaming nun for Christmas after seeing Manu Delago's piece, which involved a snare drum and various wind-up toys. So that's a genre that I probably couldn't tell you what it is, but it's one that probably upsets the Catholic Church.
It was fun to watch.
Yes.
I mean, come on, Pete. I mean, you live in literally close to nowhere by your own expression. I mean, there must be something in Western Australia that you just don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a good point. I wonder, did Aussie hip hop ever get you guys? I mean, where they sing with their full-on Australian accent and like all the the Aussie colloquialisms and slang, and did they ever reach you guys, or did that sort of reach?
Well, we saw that last episode, but that was the first one.
We're not the people to ask about this. I mean, our mate Rob Boffard, otherwise known as Rob One, would know this because he's that guy. By the way, if you want to go and buy Rob Boffard's book, it's called Tracer, and he's got lots of them. He's also apparently in negotiations with selling the film rights. The bastard.
Can I just say how cool it is that we keep name dropping people from the Recharge days? That's something that's really nice. Do you know? I'm gonna make a quick name.
It is actually. What the hell did we do?
I know. I'm gonna make a name drop to Chef Mike. And this is linking through to Andy as well with within the club. Is that Chef Mike had mentioned the setup he used to be able to do like Skype interviews and things, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. Thank you, Chef Mike, Mike Lidskin. I've got 2 headphones in at the moment, and that's his his thing, isn't it? Yeah. So thank you, Mike.
Yeah. But just going back to the thing about Aussie hip hop, do you know that's such a good point, because what I didn't I think since having listened to, because after Recharge stuff, we bought this house and spent an awful long time doing a lot of painting when we moved in, and I was listening to a whole bunch of songs that Rob sent me from back in today, and just getting into loads and loads of, again, this is the hipster me. I mean, God's sake, look at my T-shirt today. It's a hipster Jordan. Anyway, sort of getting into loads of underground hip-hop. And one of the things that, that was always was a kind of a standout thing for me anyway, was guys that were doing hip-hop that weren't trying to ape East Coast or West Coast artists, that were kind of doing their own thing. But you could hear what they'd been listening to, but they were doing it in their own accents. And there's something refreshing about that, and also just like the way and what they are talking, what they're actually rapping about. It just sounds more genuine. And also, that song that you played last week. I mean that's a great example of self-deprecating hip hop, really, isn't it? which you don't get very often. I mean, because I was thinking about that afterwards, and I was thinking, God, the only other song I can think about is Skilo and I Wish. Because there's not that many songs where you watch it and you go, yeah, this guy's just taking the piss out of themselves, and it doesn't happen very often. But it's
it's
cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Also, I don't know if this ever reached you guys. There's a couple of artists. One of them's Lisa Mitchell and Gosling. There's a few of them, and they sing with like a little kid's voice almost, like I can't even do it, but yeah, they basically sing with a really high pitched sort of kid's voice. I wouldn't even know what sort of genre you'd call it, but I guess it's folk, but with a high-pitched kid's voice, like they're just mimicking a little child's voice. I find it grating personally, but some people love it. I was wondering if that's ever reached you guys.
No, that one hasn't got there yet. The only thing I can think of is that person that was doing what's her from back in the 50s, and she was singing some really choice lyrics for a kid. I'll tell you that much. Again, it's. I'm very good at this. I think my mind goes blank whenever I want to talk about these things. But somebody again is screaming at them. Is that so and so?
It's funny, you do get artists like that. I mean, I'm thinking about Icelandic's probably second best known singer, not Björk. I'm talking about Stina Nordenstam, who wrote a song called Little Star, and that must have been about maybe 20 years ago. And again, she sang very much in a sort of very childlike voice.
Yeah, I think people either love it or they just hate it, and they're very strong camps.
There's again, kind of within trip hop, there's this artist that my kids have played to me before, and I'm like, this guy, is he just taking the piss? And they're like, well, yeah, but the thing is that he's got this major following, and I can't even remember what it is, but again, he does that whole sort of thing of just sort of singing like badly and it's all out of time and stuff like this, but but it's one of those genres where I suddenly realise I'm a middle-aged man and I just don't get music anymore,
Or it's gone so full circle that it's just stuff that you just didn't like back when you were a kid, and now you're just not liking it again. I'm trying to help you out here, Jamie.
Thank you.
I'm giving you a good out. Trying to.
And just to go a little bit off topic. Yeah. Just something we almost talked about a couple of episodes ago. Was that Jamie? You auditioned for a boy band. Is that what happened there?
Oh God.
Oh, you see, the thing now, Jamie, you said, and this will follow you around now, won't it?
Okay.
Tell you what, you tell that story. Okay. I'm going to go and look up the person that I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So you want me to tell this story now? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So if people have managed to get this far through our podcast, then the thing is that they're going to go, really, it was this? So it must have been about I'm going to say 1993. And I was a 17-year-old guy who didn't really know what I needed to do or wanted to do with the rest of my life. And a friend of the family had suggested to me that I look through the small ads at the back of the stage. Now, the stage is the kind of theatrical newspaper in the UK where people back in the day, when we didn't have things like the internet, would look to see if there were auditions for various things. And anyway, there was this particular audition that came through for a boy band, and they asked for a photograph, and you had to send the photograph through. And so it was literally like a passport photo. So send the passport photo through, and then you were invited through for an audition. And this was before Pop Stars and Pop Idol and all those kind of things. But it was also something that probably in the early stages where they were recording footage of it at the time to be able to then sell on for a TV show, which I think was on Channel 4. Anyway, so I went along to this, and the first auditions involved singing, and I managed to kind of tick that box. And then they did some dancing. Now, I've got a twin sister who went to the Northern Ballet, and she's a great dancer. And I have to point out that she got all the talent when it came to dancing, not me.
Can I just ask something here? If she's got all the talent and she's a dancer and she's your twin, why don't you just send her along?
True.
I'm taking you didn't have the beard back then.
So, no, I could have got away with it. But saying that moves on to the third reason, and the reason as to why I left, and the reason as to why I wouldn't have had my sister do this either, was so we'd done that, and I managed to kind of just about get through the dancing stage, and it got to the third stage, and the third stage was right, guys. This was 1993. Okay, it was a different time. I'm gonna hashtag me too now, right? They go, right, can you take your tops off because we need to see your chests, right? And it was 1993, and
I'm sorry, Joe. That's really cruel. I love that.
But I looked around the room. I looked around the room at a load of sort of just sort of pubescent guys, or sort of into their sort of late teens, early 20s, looking at each other, and I just went, "Does anybody fancy going to the pub?" And about 7 of us went, "Yeah."
You know what?
And that was it. And that was it. That was my end venture into it. And the irony is that I ended up in rock bands where we very much emulated the Chili Peppers and just wore like shorts, and that was it. But sort of back in the day, I had principles back in 1993, and I'm like, I'm not taking my top off just so that you can judge
that's
me.
it. I mean, they've essentially asked children, "Oh, do you mind just stripping off so we can see if you got the right look?" I mean, that's
I know,
crazy,
it's wrong, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's something just not quite
A different time.
I think,
Yeah.
I think yeah. I mean, but then, like you said, you quite happily play gigs where you get your top off and go running around the stage half nude.
But all by choice.
Yeah, but that was on your turn, and you were probably drunk. So
Probably, yes. In fact, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. There's. Yeah. By the way, speaking about the exploitation of kids and suspect things to do them, little Brenda Lee. If you want to go and check out some of her lyrics, then feel free to cringe inwardly. I mean, it's just not. Again, different times, 50s, whatever.
Yeah.
Man, no.
You got that story out of me, Pete. You clever man. You clever man.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. Each episode's got to have just a little nugget of Jamie. It's just past.
Have you got another
It's
video,
time for
please?
Jamie to confess.
Another video.
Okay. Well, I mean, any other orders of business, or shall we wrap it up?
I'm done. Unless Pete, you've got anything else to throw at us, but I'm done.
No, that wraps it up nicely for me. And of course, if you'd like to see any of the clips from today's show, I'll be linking them in the description of this video on their own pages. And same with anything we talked about, any topics will be on the description as well. As usual, Jamie, Jordan, thank you so much. And for everyone joining us, thank you. And we're going to end today with another clip from Witching Hour Lucidity. This is an instrumental piece, again from the film, and it's called Still.